With this one, we're going to solve this system of equations using Gaussian elimination or row echelon elimination. Which basically means that we're going to have to convert it to a matrix first, and then try to change them all around, kind of manipulate them a little bit, so that we can find out what our answers are. But we need to realize and understand that our original one are these equations. These are x, y, and z. This is what we're looking for. What the value of z is, what the value of x is, and what the value of y is, all three of them. So the first thing that we want to do here is put this one in matrix form. And when we put it in matrix form, the first thing we're going to do is take the coefficient for each one of these and write these. So this coefficient is going to be 1, this one will be -5, this one will be -5, and then 21. We do include that one when we write it in our matrix. So you'll see that here. I've just basically converted all these. I just got rid of the x's, the y's, and the z's, and pretty much just wrote the numbers as they appear there. And this is going to help us. Here's what we're basically, the goal of this is to have ones all in a diagonal. I want a 1 here, a 1 here, and a 1 here, and the rest of these over here to the left to all be zeros. It should look something like this. Okay, here's what we're looking for. Notice how they're in red. That's the big distinction. We need to have ones in a diagonal, and the rest of these here be zeros. Essentially what we're doing is we're eliminating our x value on the second one, and on the third equation we're going to eliminate our x and our y. This one here represents z. Z would equal whatever this number is going to end up being if we can get there. Okay, but we're not quite there yet, so let's take it one step at a time. I'm going to rewrite this matrix over here just so that we have some more room. And you'll notice that I had to write it quite a bit smaller just to make sure we have room. This is going to be a pretty lengthy process. Okay, so the goal here is to get the ones here in the diagonal, and right now I have a -1 in my upper left, and I want that to be a positive one. So I'll just start with that one, and what I need to do there is multiply that first equation by -1. I multiply that entire thing, both sides, every one of those numbers there, by -1, and that will give me my new equation. And you can always kind of think of it, here is our original one, and so as long as we do it to this side and that side, as long as we do it to both sides, or in other words, as long as we do it to the entire thing, we haven't changed the value. So I'll do that now. I'm going to rewrite that matrix. The difference is each one of these are being multiplied by a -1. So you'll see that basically I went through and just changed all of the signs on that one. Okay, so now we're looking pretty good so far. I've got my first part done. I've got my 1 here. I'm still trying to get zeros under both of these, and I recommend that you go for your zeros next before you go for this 1. It will make it a lot easier. Okay, so I need to have zeros on this one. I'll just start with the second equation here. And in order to get that one to be a 0, what I'm going to have to do is multiply this first equation here by 4, then add it to my second equation. And then that will yield me my 0 here. 4 times 1 gives me 4, plus -4 wipes it out and gives me a 0. So that's what I'm looking for here, and I'll go through and do each one of those. Okay, so then I multiply this one by 4, which gave me 20, plus 3 gives me a 23. Same thing with this one, 20. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 3 gives me a 23. And then -21 times 4 is -84, plus a -19 gives me -103. Okay, so I've got to do that to each component. They're not just this first one. Otherwise, we've changed its value, so we've got to do it to all of them. So I'm going to rewrite this one over here, just so that we have some more room there. And it's the exact same matrix that I've got over here. I just did it over here, so I have some room. So I'm starting to get a little bit closer. I've got one here and a 0. My next one is I need to get a 0 down here, and I need to determine how I can do that. Well, I'm going to basically use the same process that I did to get the second row at a 0, only it's going to be on my third row. So I'll do that now. I'm going to again multiply the first equation by 4 and add it to the third equation. And that will wipe this one out, and that'll be a 0 there. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, so again I do the same thing. 4 times 1 is 4, minus 4 is 0, that's my 0. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 gives me 22. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 gives me 22 here. And then 4 times -21 is -84. Plus 10 gives me a -74. Let me fix that real quick here. There we go, sorry about that. But now we have the correct one, it's -72. Okay, so we're still looking to get, let's see, I've got a 1 here and a 0, 0. Now we're cruising. I need to get this one here to equal a 1, okay, because I'm looking for my 1s in my diagonal. So I can look at this now. When you've already got both of these at zeros, we pretty much don't deal with the first equation anymore at all. The reason being is if we were to combine anything here, if we were to add these two together or anything, then this turns from a 0 into another number because we're going to combine that 1 with it. However, if we combine the second and third equations here, this one already has a 0, so I'm not going to affect what I've already done there. So I can look at this. My goal is to have this one be a 1. I can quickly identify that this one here, I've got a 23 and a 22. If I just take equation 2 and then subtract equation 3 from that one, I can get exactly what I'm looking for in equation number 2. I can get my 1. Because 23 minus 22 is indeed 1. So I'll get my 1 exactly like I want. So I'll go ahead and do that right now. So again, my 0 minus 0. See, I didn't change that at all, and it remains 0. That's what I'm wanting there. Okay, so we go on to the next one. 23 minus 22 is 1. For this one here, 23 minus 22 is also 1. That's the same problem there. And then negative 133, negative 103 minus, let's see, negative 72, or 74. So this is going to be negative 103 plus 74, which gives me a negative 29. Okay, so we're really starting to make some progress now. I'm going to get rid of this just so that we have room to work, but just realize that's what we're looking for is this diagonal right here. I'm not too concerned with these other numbers. In fact, these numbers here don't really match up with this exact problem. My only intent here is just to show you or to demonstrate what our goal is to get all these 1s and these 0s in this particular location. So I'm going to do away with this just so that we have some more room to work. And I'm going to take this one here and I'm going to move it over to the left-hand side here just so that we have a little bit of room to work. Okay, so we're still progressing here. And my next stage is to get this one to be a 0. Okay, and then this last one will be a 1, but I'll work on this 0 first. And again, we don't really mess, or we don't really go to this first equation anymore. We're just really kind of dealing with the second and third equations here. And I need this one here to be a 0. And that means in order for this one to be a 0, I'm going to have to multiply this one here, the second row, by 22. Okay, so I'm going to take my row 3 and then subtract 22 times row 2. And that sounds a little bit difficult. It's not too bad. You've got your calculator, just plug it in. But our goal again here is just to have this one be 0, and we can do that if we take this one and subtract 22 times this one. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, and if we look at this one, we did 22 times this second row, and we took row 3 and subtracted 22 times the second row. So that gave me a 0 in this column right here, which is exactly what we were wanting. That worked out nice. This one here, because these numbers matched up, this one also equaled to 0. And then right here, we did the same thing here. We just took this one here, subtracted 22 times this one, and ended up with 564. Okay, well now we've got all these, and we've got our 3 zeros here. This one we wanted to be a 1. It did not end up being a 1, which is going to change our answer. If this one were a 1, then we'd know that z equaled 564. The problem is that this is not a 1. If we were to write out this equation right here, it would look like this. Notice on this particular one, I do not write z here. 1z, if it were a 1, this would be a 1z. There's 0, so 0z's equals 64. 0 equals 64. Now this is going to become important. 0 cannot equal 564, excuse me. It cannot equal that, and that's going to become a very important component here. Because we've eliminated all that, we know that 0 does not equal 5. Okay, so we know that 0 does not equal 564. That's not true. So our answer, the way that we'll write this one, is we'll just write that there is no solution. Okay, and when you're doing the online system, just type it in just like that, no solution. With the space between it, no punctuation, just leave it like that and you'll be okay. But that's the big thing. 0 does not equal 564, so there is no solution that will work for this one.